Hey, in this video, I'm answering a question about neurolinguistic programming, or NLP, that came in during a recent Q&A session. The question is, I'm a transformational coach for teenage girls of color. Do you think NLP coaching would benefit these girls? So stick around and hear how I answer this question. I tend to answer to completion and comprehension as best I can, so I hope you get a lot out of this. So NLP is the basis of the work that I do and have been doing since 2006 when I got certified in NLP. It's not all that we do. So the curriculum around our coaching skills or the curriculum of our coaching skills is not only NLP, but it started with NLP. And then I've added things along the way as I learned from different methodologies and all that stuff. So it's a wide collection. But NLP is the basis, and it was the content way back then that completely transformed my entire life. So it's the foundation of the deep work coaching that we do. And I firmly stand behind NLP when, used in a way to help people change their lives. It's everything. I mean, it's everything when it comes to helping people live a better life and helping people change their relationship with themselves and understanding how the brain works, and so many of the real big issues and problems that people are dealing with. What I love the most about NLP is that it helps us understand our belief systems, and it helps us understand the inner experience of our collision with the world, right? We look out of our eyes, we hear with our ears, we feel with our, with our fingers, assuming that you have those senses, whatever senses you have access to, that's how we interpret, or that's how we access all that's accessible in the world. But then we interpret what we access, and we do all that inside of our minds, and we're making choices, and we're defining certain things, and we're deciding a lot of things that are going on in our lives, and we decide what our values are, and we make beliefs, and we make determinations, and we make promises to ourselves. And it's just like this pinball machine going on inside of our head of life experience. And NLP allows us to understand that process better than most of us do, because this is not stuff that we're taught in schools, not stuff that we're taught very many places that I'm aware of, at least that I've experienced. And so it helps us understand the human brain more than most of us do. I don't know if this is something that was told to me or this is an assessment that I made early on, but I remember saying NLP is kind of like the owner's manual for the brain that nobody ever got, because that's not written. So at least in my experience, that was as close to the owner's manual of the brain to understand how we do the things that we do, and then how we can change whatever it is that we want to change. So that's the depth of NLP. And because of that, it is phenomenally powerful in helping people change any part of their lives. Teenagers, I don't want to say especially, because I'm not saying necessarily that teenagers can use like this deep work necessarily any better than anybody else, but the earlier we are in our life's journey, the less baggage we're carrying. So NLP is not the only coaching methodology that can be implemented with people. So I would say the same thing about any methodology, in terms of, like, if we get them earlier, then they'll be able to make shifts sooner or easier. It's kind of like learning a language, right? Learning a language early on is a lot easier than trying to learn a language when you're 40, 50, 60, just because so much has already been sort of cemented, right? But NLP specifically helps with self-esteem and self-confidence, and understanding the ego, and understanding what we call meta programs and how the brain is operating. And in my experience, it really gives younger kids just a phenomenally powerful self-awareness. and understanding about motivation and can help with certain traumas or certain negative belief systems that have already been formed. So that's a little bit of a long answer. The short answer is yes, absolutely. The longer answer is, days and days and days worth if we take all the things into consideration. But I guess that would be my medium answer. Yes, and here's a little bit of why. And I also want to say to you that the work that you're doing, not just with teenagers, but with teenagers of color, is so amazing that you're doing that work. And it sounds like, this is just my guess, but if you're targeting teenagers of color, specifically girls of color, you're dealing with a lot of systems. You're dealing with gender systems, you're dealing with age systems, you're dealing with cultural systems, you're dealing with race systems, you're dealing with political systems. And one of the things that I love about NLP is systems work, right? And there's systems work that can be applied to individuals, but then there's systems work that can be applied to societies. And a lot of it translates, right? Like if you understand how belief systems can take a hold of somebody in their first 6 years of life, let's say, then you can understand how certain belief systems can take hold in a certain group of people and how those belief systems turn into behaviors and patterns and all this other stuff. So I think that kind of NLP specific work will absolutely help with the work that you're doing with these teenage girls of color. Now, if you like this video, check out that video right now. I'm going to share the 9 ingredients for you to follow to become a successful life coach from home. And if you haven't paid for a coach to do transformational work, my advice to you, not just from a philosophical, moral standpoint, but from a practical standpoint, don't try to sell a product